Right here.
The mosquitoes.
Here it is right here. I don't know.
I can't hear.
Y'all are here. This is the Zoom meeting for, I guess, summer school.
I can't hear.
I can't swim.
Who? Jeremy, what about him?
Sorry.
Honey, what are you saying, boo?
Can't hear.
No, I can't hear.
Not gonna on me.
Whoa.
Can you pause it and
I'm tired. I need a break.
okay, now what are you gonna do now? Just sit here and wait. Somebody gonna sit here when we finish. Come and sit.
I'll do it. You here?
No.
You don't know what to do. That's the
Hmm.
problem.
I'm in second grade. I got you second. The computer's just a little old.
Yeah.
Why have to get out then?
You gotta play.
I'm not, Ralph. I'm not, Ralph. Where's my
I
phone?
can't hear.
Where's my phone? Oh, I'll leave it on the couch.
You do?
I'm not, Ralph.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm not, Ralph. Your popsicle. Well, my popsicle is about to melt. Oh, my popsicle is about to melt.
It is 4:59. We will get started in about 1 minute.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
What it say? What that mean?
It says start video. Do you want me? You gotta show your face.
Mm-hmm. What I do?
I think it only works if you show your face, but you don't need to.
I don't care. That's what I told him to try me out.
That's what you put up there for.
You want to go mute yourself too?
No, you didn't.
I'm unmuting the system, but it seems like it keeps going back to mute. Can you hear me?
I can hear.
I can hear.
Okay.
I can hear video.
Crystal,
So I'm on there now too. So you can hear me.
All right, do we hang up the phone now?
No, I can hear you.
Yeah, hang up the phone with me and mute your camera. Mute your camera on Zoom. Because I can hear, everybody can hear you.
What's that?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I can hear you.
Ready? Thank
Okay.
That mama too.
First of all, it's unmuted while you talking. And do we supposed to press start or we just all just
Okay, you were on there. You could
we gotta talk about accountability, collaboration. I'm just saying, Jesus, people just got out work, we tired.
As long as you be quiet.
Okay.
We are going to go ahead and get started. Mr. Schimmel, if you can mute everyone, and then
Can I ask you a question, ma'am?
I'm sure, but we are getting ready to ask everyone to chat.
Okay.
Do you know how?
We can't hear you.
I haven't quite started yet. Just give me 1 second.
Thank you.
Okay. I am Dr. Crystal Ryder. I'm the Director of Curriculum and Instruction in the school district. And summer school is one of our responsibilities in our department. And obviously this summer we needed to approach things a little bit differently and have remote learning again. We hope to see children face to face in the coming months, but time will tell if that is a possibility or not. We always start all of our meetings with the 5 pillars. Our pillars are accountability, collaboration, professionalism, trust, and respect. Just as a reminder, if you're not speaking, if you could please mute your microphone so we don't have any background noise, that would be helpful. And just to let everyone know, we are recording this meeting just so we can post it to parents who were not able to attend and they can hear the same information. Also, I will ask everyone if you have questions throughout the meeting or just general questions about summer school, if you would type them in the chat. You should see a chat button typically at the bottom of your screen. If you just click on that and type in what your question or concern or interest is. And I do have 2 people following what's put in the chat so that we can get all of those answers for everyone at the end after the presentation. On your cell phone, sometimes that chat button is at the top. So if you just kind of scroll around, you'll find it. We're going to get started with the PowerPoint at this time. So Mr. Schimmel, if you would move to the next slide, please. So again, this is the summer school parent meeting. Don't forget to type your questions in the chat if you have questions, and please stay muted throughout the meeting unless you need to voice a question or concern. Next slide, please. So what is this calendar for summer school? Summer school is June 8th, so we started today and it runs through July 9th. We are attending this year Mondays through Thursdays, and we're off on Fridays. So there will be no assignments or summer school being held on Fridays this year. Students can expect invitations to join Zoom calls and or Google Meet sessions between 8:30 and 3:30 every day. Students will have about 4 hours of engagement time with staff or work to complete a day. It shouldn't be more than about 4 hours. However, teachers are live 8:30 to 3:30 to answer any questions and have small group and large group Zoom meetings with entire classes and then small groups of students. So part of the completion of assignments will be both in Google Classroom, the IXL or RAS programs. And then just know that if the 4 hours isn't available during the day, so if a parent cannot sit down and work with a student during the day, those assignments can be done outside of the 8:30 to 3:30 time and can be submitted. However, the Zoom times are when they are. So for example, if it's scheduled for 10:30 in the morning, that's when it will be. However, all Zoom calls or Google Meet calls will be recorded and posted to Google Classroom. So if ever a meeting is missed, you can go back and review it. However, when we get to the incentive portion of this presentation, it will be important to remember that participation live is how you earn the incentive. So just remember that we expect people to be live face-to-face to participate in the incentive. And we'll get to that in just a few minutes. Next slide. So just a few introductions that we need to have. Right now, we will introduce the curriculum and instruction coordinators that are on the call. So I see Dr. Mia Carpenter. If you want to introduce yourself, please. You're on mute.
Hi, I'm Dr. Carpenter. I'm the math coordinator for grades K through 12. I'll be supporting your summer school teachers with their online math platforms. And I hope that you and your children have a wonderful experience with our virtual learning this summer.
Mr. Jones?
Yep, I'll introduce myself really quickly. So I'm 7 through 12 ELA. I work very closely with Kathleen Jones. Unfortunately, she has not been able to get on the call at the moment. But I would shout out her work at the K through 6 level, and then 7 through 12 ELA is kind of my forte.
Okay, Mr. Schimmel?
Hi, everyone. My name is Ben Schimmel. I'm the coordinator of educational technology, and my job is to be supporting teachers and students in all of this digital learning. Your teachers will be your first line of defense in troubleshooting, and then after that, it will either be myself or someone from the information technology IT department. So we are committed to making sure that this process is as smooth as possible for everybody.
And Mr. Miller?
Yeah, my name is Andrew Miller, and I am the Science and Social Studies Coordinator, and I will as well be supporting all of the teachers and helping with data retrieval and whatnot during this summer school process.
Thank you. And then did Miss Kathleen Jones make it yet to the call?
Dr. Ryder, I think that there's max capacity in this Zoom meeting. So it's fortunate that we're recording this, and we will just have to make sure that we share the link to the recording after the fact.
Okay. A couple of other folks that we need to introduce are Miss Green.
Hi, my name is Jessica Green, and I am the instructional coach for summer school. I'll support grades 5 through 8. Evie Troop is the other instructional coach. She cannot get into the meeting at this time, and she will support grades 4 through K.
Okay, and then we have Mr. Owens, who is serving as a counselor this summer. So family, just wanted to let you know that we do have counseling support. Mr. Owens, are you on the call?
Yes, I'm here. My name is Antoine Owens. As Dr. Ryder said, I'll be here, the counselor for summer school, just helping out with students who have social and emotional needs. So if you need anything, just reach out.
Okay, and at this time, since some people are having a hard time getting on, any teachers that are on the call, we are not introducing all of the teachers individually, so because hopefully you've already met them today at some point, and if not, you'll be able to meet them for sure tomorrow. So I will say goodbye to the teachers that are on the call. If you could leave the meeting so we can open up some spaces to some of our other families, that would be great. And teachers, you've already received all this information, so you're up to date anyway. So we'll see you again soon.
I think you may need to boot me out of the meeting, Dr. Ryder.
Mr. Schimmel, any of the teachers that you know are teachers, you can exit them from the meeting if they cannot do it on their own.
I mean, teachers, if you just leave the meeting, that should open up a spot.
It took me a minute to find the leave button, but on my screen, it's in the very bottom right. It looks like it's not even part of Zoom, but it's there.
Okay, so I would ask to go ahead and go to the next slide. So what are the expectations of students? Of course, the attendance is probably first and foremost the biggest expectation. There will be Zoom calls daily and live meetings and conversations with teachers daily. It could be once a day or it could be a couple of times a day. Teachers are teaching both ELA and mathematics. So they may have a whole group meeting for each, and then each day they also will be having small group meetings. So typically you would have at least one Zoom meeting every single day, and some days you might have more than one in cases where your small group learning is in the same day. The other expectation is to complete the work as assigned by the timeline that the teacher gives you. All of that is posted in Google Classroom. And then also logging into Google Classroom every single day for daily updates and communication and to complete assignments. And then obviously participating in Zoom and Google Meets and being respectful and kind to our classmates as we're on those calls. And a reminder, classmates in summer school are from the entire district. So it won't be just children from Belnora, or from Lucas, or from Washington or Jefferson, or Barak, but rather it's students from across the district. And so we're kind of getting to know one another in a different environment this summer. Next slide, please. And so during the regular school year and face-to-face learning, we all have positive behavior interventions and supports in our schools. And part of that is having a school-wide matrix that talks about what is expected to keep the environment safe, respectful, and responsible. So we have created a virtual learning matrix that talks about when you're entering class, what does that look like to be safe, respectful, and responsible? So you can see all the bullet points under each. So for example, for respectful, when you enter class, we ask that the video is on at all times and that the audio is off, and that you use the chat button for the first 5 minutes while we're kind of waiting for people to get involved and get on. Students can use the chat button and chat back and forth with their friends as they're waiting for the class to start. And then being responsible, it's being on time and ready to learn, having materials ready and things like that. I won't read this entire matrix to you because we will send this PowerPoint slide to you, and also, as I shared before, we're recording. But during teacher whole ed group instructions, you can see that there's expectations for safe, respectful, and responsible there, for one-to-one instruction, and then small group activities or breakout rooms. And the breakout rooms are really important because we most of the time want to have an adult in all of the breakout rooms, but with some of the older students, there might be times that the teachers have a few students in a room on their own while that teacher is working maybe in another breakout room with another group of students. So just keeping in mind that sometimes there might be that wait time for kids in a breakout room by themselves until the teacher finishes up with one group and moves to the next. So parents, just keep that in mind, that that could happen at times, but it should never happen for the entire Zoom interaction. Next slide, please. So you may wonder, how can you support your student through this process? And basically just helping to establish a consistent routine, including work time and break time. I don't know about all of you all, but if you've been working from home in the last couple of months, sometimes drawing the line between work and home life gets blurry, and we don't want that to happen for kids either. We don't want school and fun time, play time, to be missing for kids either. So just establishing a consistent routine is helpful. Help to follow the schedule and calendar that's sent out by the teacher. So when there's a Zoom meeting live, making every effort possible to attend those meetings live is the best practice. But of course, things will be recorded if a student has to miss something at some point. And then also just making it a positive learning environment and supporting your child social emotionally. And again, we do have support systems in place to support students throughout summer school with counseling services and other supports that you or your children may need throughout the summer that are also available during the school year. So just don't forget that those same resources are typically available in summer school. And Mr. Owens can help you with that. And I think Dr. Owens Matthews is now on the phone or on the call from BJC. Dr. Owens Matthews, Can you introduce yourself and just tell just a couple of words on how you can support?
Yes, I am from BJC. I am the embedded school counselor, which means I do clinical counseling, grief and loss, parent-child relationships, all social, emotional health concerns. I can be involved with that. Also resources. I will be partnering with Counselor Owens, and we will be doing some things together We've been communicating, so you'll have lots of support from me as well.
Excellent. Thank you for that. And then next slide. And this is usually something that parents ask for that we've learned, at least in our remote learning the past couple of months, for technology help. And the first line of defense is always the teacher for basic troubleshooting. They can usually walk you through what needs to be done. If that doesn't help, there is a link right there. It's bit.ly/summerschoolhelp. And at that link, there are several documents embedded there that will help walk you through pretty much any minor or fixable from home issue that you or your child may have working on their Chromebook. And then finally, last but not least, if none of the above works, you'll need to contact the Normandy Help Desk at helpdesk@normandysc.org. And then the last slide, and this is the one usually students look forward to, but I think this year parents might look forward to it as well. And just to remember that in order to earn this incentive each week, there has to be 100% completion of assignments and 100% Zoom, Google Meet attendance. So it's kind of an all or nothing, but every week, every child has the opportunity to earn the incentive, as does every parent. So on Monday through Wednesday this week, and today is kind of a grace period, so if your child couldn't get on today or there was some glitch in the system or whatever the case may be, we're not going to hold that against you today, as we were all getting reacclimated to remote learning. But between today and Thursday, if your child completes everything and attends everything at 100%, your child will get a gift card, and you too, as the parent, will get a separate $25 gift card. There are some requirements with that. First and foremost, they all will be sent to you electronically via email. So your email address must be current and on file in SysK. If you know that you need to update your information, you can contact your school's secretary, and they should be able to update your information for you for the gift card. But let's say, for example, and I'm going to use Montez because I know Montez and his family. So let's say that this week Montez completes everything, all of the assignments, his smiling face is on all of the Zoom calls, large group and small group. Montez is going to get a gift card sent to his mom, and his mom is going to get a gift card. Both will be sent to your personal email, Ms. Thomas. So that is how the incentive works. And they will be handed out. My goal is to have them handed out by the end of the day every Friday, because we will be collecting the data, and then I will be sending them electronically. You will likely get the email from an email address from Amazon. They will be Visa gift cards, but they will be sent electronically through Amazon. So you'll be needing to look for an email from Amazon. It will probably have my name, but it will still be through Amazon. And then on Friday afternoons, if you think you should have received the incentive and did not, then you'll need to contact myself or your child's teacher, either way. So at this time, it looks like there's a ton of information in the chat. So I'm gonna turn it over to, I believe it was Tyler and or Andrew, whomever decided to read the questions or let us know what the questions are, and then I will just answer them, and then we will wrap up the call.
Yeah, so we've been working kind of behind the scenes, just typing furiously to capture questions. If we mess anything up, we'll also kind of capture the chat log for ourselves, so please forgive us. Crystal, I did want to start with, for those who got on late, there were some questions around, complications about seeing the presentation, sound, etc. Is it worth reiterating that this is going to be recorded?
Sure, yes, this is recorded, everyone that's on the call. It will also be sent back out to everyone. in the recorded version, and we also will send an FAQ of the questions and answers that are in the chat as well.
Perfect. Next question, and I see a couple questions popping up. If I miss anything, I'll say hello to someone. I see, hey, Mr. Jones, hello. If I miss anything, I think you'll see I'll get every question, but if I don't, please type it in at the end. But I think we should be good. I know a lot of questions about login information. This question is, we had problems logging on to the work that was missed today. How can families or students go back to complete that work?
For the most part, that work is in the Google Classroom. So whatever was assigned, you still have access to it, and the students can go back and still complete that work. If you have further questions about that, you can ask your teacher when you speak to them next.
Next question, and this is a big one that kind of came up repeatedly. How will Zoom meetings work for children who are sharing a computer?
So that, I believe, was a misunderstanding when folks enrolled in summer school. So let's try to clear that up at this time. Each child should have been and were registered individually. And so the Chromebook question was asked for each individual child. We understand that in phase 2, it was 1 Chromebook per family. In phase 3, which is summer school, we were offering for every family to have a device per child. Now, the criteria for that, though, is that the $25 fee has to be paid for each Chromebook. So that might be something, you know, a family might have to decide if that's something they want to do, or if it's working for students to share. So that's one piece. The other piece is today teachers were gathering information about families who had multiple children or needed devices or didn't understand that they could get another device. And so they didn't worry about filling out the form or coming to pick up another device. And so teachers will be collecting families, and we will be working on that with technology, and technology will get back with me to let me know when more devices will be released. So I do not have a date on that yet, but as soon as we do, we will get that information back out.
This question is similar, but presents a little bit more incentive-related question. If you have a parent who doesn't get off work until 3:30 with 3 children, potentially sharing a device, there is concern around students being on the internet unsupervised. So how can we still help them qualify for incentives?
Well, that's a tricky one. For students that were kindergarten through 2nd grade, we did put on the enrollment form that it would be necessary to have a parent available when those Zoom calls happen. And so that was kind of an expectation. For students typically 3rd grade on, our hope is that students can work independently, and those things can be monitored in the background by parents. I will say, parents, that you can look at the history on the Chromebooks in the background. So if you're at work and you're trusting your 3rd or 4th grader to be on the computer, you can check and see if they were actually doing schoolwork or if they were doing something else. So that's one piece. However, the incentive, we can only do the incentive during the day when staff is available. So that's 8:30 to 3:30. And I know staff is doing the best that they can to schedule Zoom meetings so that they're at different times, so that if someone is sharing a computer, you know, students can have access to that. But the student will need to be live to qualify for the incentive.
So I'm going to jump a question up a little bit because I think it's come up in a variety of different ways, and I apologize in advance if I don't capture it exactly, but I will try my best. There's a variety of concerns around login information. So for example, some families have been contacted by one teacher and then not contacted by a sibling teacher in another grade, didn't receive an email, may not know login information, or may not know their teacher. Is there a way for them to get that information?
Yes, if you need to know your teacher particularly, Tyler, I will ask that when we release this question back out, that we type in Evie and Jessica and my email addresses so parents can email us, or you can also give them my office phone number, and I'll say it out loud now to parents, but we'll type it on the information as well. And that's 314-493-0120. And I'll say it one more time in case you were shuffling for a pen. 314-493-0120. So you can always call me and ask any of those specific questions as well. And if a teacher didn't get in contact with you today, they should for sure get in contact with you by the end of the day tomorrow, which is why today was kind of a grace day for everybody, because teachers were still getting their class list late this weekend, and they were trying to get their Google Classroom set up today. So they may have and they also had a staff meeting with me for an hour today to go through some things. So they may still be setting up and still trying to get a hold of parents. So hang tight. If you haven't heard from a teacher by tomorrow, I would say by tomorrow, end of day, contact me and we will get that figured out for you. We will not hold that against you in the incentive this week, knowing that there's been a little bit of hiccups along the way as we get this up and rolling for summer school.
This is going to play, I think it's a briefer question, but it fits into the same boat. What email, like how are students and parents being contacted? What email address is being used? What phone number, et cetera?
That's kind of a tricky question, but I will say that any phone number or email address that's listed in the SysK system under your family is fair game for teachers to use to try to get a hold of you. I don't know if I'm answering the question the way it's intended, but I also would say if there's a certain phone number or a certain email address that works best, just make sure to update your information with your home school, not the summer school, but your home school, so that information is in the system so that when you qualify for incentives, that those incentives can be sent to the correct email address.
And then the bulk of student contact is happening through their Normand email address, I would add. I think that was
correct.
This is, again, a good question that kind of follows up off that. If a family has moved, how could they update their information?
Well, I would say that if the family has moved and is still in the district, they're going to need to update their information anyway. So call the home school and update it that way. If the family has moved outside of the district, so the child will be attending possibly somewhere else in the fall, they definitely will need to go through student service to take care of that. But until that can happen, you still will need to put your most current information in the student system through the secretary at your home school so that incentives can be matched to the child. We cannot send gift cards unless the same email address we send it to is also the same email address in the SysK system.
I'm going to combine two questions again. The question was both, when does summer school start, which I think came up in the presentation, but it ties directly to if students did not receive information for summer school, how can they get information and potentially join?
So if you were registered for summer school, and I'm assuming everyone on this meeting is, you should have received a call already or an email already. If you have not, there's a glitch somewhere. So if you don't get a phone call or an email by the end of the day tomorrow, I'm asking that you call me and I will help you to get in contact with the staff member that you're supposed to be in contact with.
Well, when does it start?
Summer school started today, this morning. And summer school goes to July 9th. But it's possible some students did not get contacted today.
I have 3 children. I only got one contact from one teacher.
Okay, so tomorrow, if you don't get contacted by the other 2 teachers, I just ask that you give me a phone call and I will get that taken care of for you.
I got a question for you, ma'am.
Remember, if you don't mind, if you could type your questions in the chat. That's the process we're trying to follow so that we capture everything. So please type your question in the chat so we can answer them that way. Mr. Jones?
So this one is more technology related. It says, is the app on the school Chromebook, and will they be using, and I'm combining, will they be using Google Classroom?
Yes, they are using Google Classroom, and yes, it should be on the Chromebook.
Really quickly, combining questions again, and it circles back a little bit. If you are working during school hours, how do you kind of supervise children's participation? But also adding, if I have an older student, could they potentially supervise their younger siblings' participation?
Yes, any of that works. I mean, under normal circumstances, when you're working, I'm sure you have somebody in place to at least keep in contact with the kiddos or check on them or any of those things. So grandma, grandpa, aunt, uncle, older brother, sister, neighbor, friend, whomever. It does not have to directly be the parent, but as long as there's someone there supporting the child, especially kindergarten through 2nd grade, we highly advise that someone is present while they are on those Zoom calls. If that's impossible and you can teach a younger child how to do those things on their own, you certainly can do that. You know your baby's the best, and so we trust that you will be able to work that out how it would work best for you and your child.
Another question comes up. When will we receive report cards or kind of like status update about students?
Well, clearly you can ask your teacher anytime how your child is performing, but we will give out at the end of summer school some kind of report based on improvement in literacy and maths from where the students started to where they ended up at the end of summer school. So a simple progress report like that will be given out at the end of summer school.
I have a question.
1 second, I'm just trying to sort through a couple questions.
I have a question. I've been typing, but I don't hear anything about what I'm talking about. You know, I need information about the list for the Zoom meetings.
Okay, so there's still 86 questions in the chat. So we're gonna get to all of them. We'll address that any information about Zoom meetings, calendars, etc., will come straight from your actual teacher. If you have 3 children, you might have 3 different schedules and you may not have received it yet, but you certainly should receive it by the end of school tomorrow, which is 3:30. If you have not received it by then, I ask that you give me a phone call at 314-493-0120, and my name is Crystal Ryder. Go ahead, Mr. Jones.
Question, and it might tie a little bit to this, but I don't think it addresses that exactly. What time do students need to be logged in daily?
Again, the time is 8:30 to 3:30 for staff. So they will schedule the Zoom meetings within there. So if the first Zoom meeting isn't until 11 o'clock for one of your children, then 11 o'clock is the first time you have to log in. If it's at 9 o'clock, you need to be there at 9 o'clock. And that will come directly from your classroom teacher. As far as complete assignments, those can be done anytime. We do ask that you follow the schedule as closely as possible, but if a child needs direct support from a parent and a parent is working late and can't get to it till the next morning or something, that's completely acceptable as long as it's completed within the time frame, or you work with the teacher and let them know that there might be a concern.
Yeah, my name is Musa. I have a question, please.
Mr. Jones?
Next question would be, comes back to technology. Who can I contact to obtain a Chromebook?
You need to let the classroom teacher know, and then I am gathering all of that information and reporting it to our technology director, Dr. Terry Green, and she is going to work and let me know when another pickup time will be and when Chromebooks will be available, and then I will communicate that right back to you guys. I asked teachers for that information today, so if you don't know who your teacher is, obviously you can't provide them with that information. So I will just ask that by the end of the day tomorrow, again, if you don't have any contact from one of your teachers, to let me know, and I will support you with what you need. Go ahead.
This probably plays directly into that. So will students, and this might be kind of recounting something, will students who weren't notified today be counted as absent?
No.
Does that stand for tomorrow as well?
Correct.
Another question along similar lines, can Saturdays be an alternative if I work during the day?
I'm not sure I understand that question. We will not be having Zoom meetings on Saturdays, but clearly any assignments that need to be completed, if something is going on during the week and you just let your child's teacher know that there's a concern and that you need to work with your child over the weekend, I don't think any of our teachers are going to have any issue with that. It's about moving forward and learning. It's, sometimes we have to be more flexible when it's remote virtual learning.
Next question, what about students who have learning disabilities or receive services from SSD? Will SSD be assisting in summer school? The accommodations stated in an IEP plan, do they still apply?
Well, the accommodations through virtual learning are so different anyway, and I would have to defer to one of our special school district specialists. I don't know if anybody is on this call from special school district. I don't know off the top of my head. But if there's a specific concern, you can do one of two things or both. Let your teacher know that there's a student that will need certain accommodations, or you can give me a call and we can talk through that and I can figure out supports.
Similar support question that came up, are we offering support around non-English speakers or ELL?
So we talked about that today, and the answer is yes. We will be. That is not in place yet, but that came up in our staff meeting today as a need, and so we'll be looking into that later this evening or tomorrow morning.
Question around teachers, and I'm going to combine them a little bit. I have an 8th grader at home who's wondering how many teachers do the 8th graders have, but also there have been a number of questions about going back into former teachers' Google Classrooms as a way of contacting.
Okay, I'm not sure I understand that completely, but I will say that our 7th and 8th grade class lists right now are huge. There's like 40 kids on each of those rosters. And the reason for that is that we had fewer teachers that signed up to teach 7th and 8th grade. I do have some teachers waiting for me to hire if our numbers pan out to be what the class lists say. However, today we did not have, we had around 1,200 kids sign up for summer school, and I know we didn't have near that participation today. So I'm cautious in hiring more people until I know for sure who all is actually going to join summer school and participate. So that's the first piece. The second piece is, and it's related to the first, typically we would have a different teacher for ELA and math. Right now, the teachers in 7th and 8th grade are teaching both subjects. However, that will likely change by the end of this week once we get settled and know exactly how many 7th and 8th graders are actually going to report. So we can split up the caseload and have some of the teachers teaching ELA and some of them teaching math. So for now, you will only have one teacher. Toward the end of the week, a teacher may be added to your Google Classroom.
Next question is kind of, again, combining questions, but focusing on kind of like the incentive program. Do students and or families get the gift card each week or at the end of summer school?
They will be sent each week on Friday. $25. So if your student makes it all 4 weeks, in total, if you save your $25 gift cards, it's $125.
What you gonna wear?
That your student will get, and then if your student gets that, and so will the parents.
This is probably a repeat, but it's come up enough times that I think it might be worth addressing again. Anyone who's not received information for summer school or potentially has students that are registered but have not been contacted, what is the protocol for that?
If you're not contacted by the end of the day tomorrow, I ask that you contact me and we will take care of it.
Next question, what are teacher to student ratios looking like for classes?
Well, I just shared 7th and 8th grade and why it is that way. However, we want the ratios to be no more than 25, but all of our class lists so far are set to 20, unless they're 7th and 8th grade, and right now they have more students. Kindergarten is much fewer students. I think there's less than 15 in each of those classes because kindergarten's just kind of learning this process.
How are we working to accommodate students who are in the gifted program?
We do not have a specific gifted teacher teaching. However, everything we're doing in summer school, we're doing at the grade level and then at the student's level. So if a student is way above grade level, they'll be working way above grade level. If they're on grade level, that's where they'll be working. If they're below, they'll be working independently below grade level. And so the whole idea of this remote learning is to teach lessons that are on grade level and then have students working independently at their ability level so that we can strengthen their learning along the way.
Clarification around Google Classroom. Do students, and this may actually speak to a question we got earlier, do students have new Google Classrooms or are they working from the same teachers and old assignments?
It'll be new.
Do they have any assignments for today?
I heard a question pop up. Do they have any assignments for today? I don't know that I can answer that. There should be something in the Google Classroom for everyone. But as far as something specific to do today, that might vary from grade to grade and teacher to teacher. I know that for math, there's an IXL diagnostic assessment that should have been started today. But it's possible that teachers use today to kind of get in contact with families and get to know students and things like that, and they may not have given a specific assignment today. But you should expect that at least starting tomorrow.
Okay, and what website is it that we're supposed to go on for them to do the work? Is it Google, you said?
Mm-hmm. It's Google Classroom.
Okay.
Go ahead, Tyler.
Yep. And both question and a very reasonable suggestion. Could there be a general suggestion that teachers send out Zoom times the night prior to the meeting? Many of today's were sent out even minutes before.
Yes, I anticipate that as we get into the routine of things, that those meetings, usually they won't change. If there's a 9 o'clock meeting every day, it'll probably be 9 o'clock every day. If it's 9 o'clock on Mondays, I'm sure it'll be 9 o'clock on Mondays. But yes, it's reasonable for teachers to give a schedule so parents know the day before when the face-to-face meeting should happen. So I can ask for teachers to do that if they're not already.
This is a little bit of a different take on a question, but I think it's worth repeating because both Andrew and I were a little bit confused. are we reaching out to students via their emails, their school emails? And are we including parent emails on those contacts?
I would say probably for the most part, teachers are reaching out to students via their Normandy email. I would assume that if there's a specific question or concern or something that a teacher needs help with from a parent, that they would email the parent directly to their email address. But for the most part, I believe that the student Normandy email address is what will be used most of the time. The gift cards, however, will be sent to the parent. I will not be sending those to students' emails at all. They will have to go to a parent email, and again, that has to be an email that's assigned in SIS as well. So I have about 2 more minutes that I can take questions because we have a board meeting that I need to attend at 6 o'clock, and we'll need a little bit of time to shift. So Andrew and Tyler, if you can scan that chat and see if there's something we haven't talked about. And then I also want to reiterate to everyone on this call that all of your questions will be answered and that will be sent out to you in writing. So don't fret if you didn't get your answer right now because we're running out of time. You will get your answer in writing in an FAQ, and this also is being recorded, and we'll send this out as well. Go ahead, guys, and let me know if there's anything else. Tyler or Andrew, are there any other?
Nope, sorry, I was muted because the host had muted me and now I'm on mute. The question was, are there any exemptions, like if a student has doctor's appointments and can provide a note as far as missing Zoom meetings?
No, we're not doing any exemptions for that. We ask if there's something that was previously scheduled and the teacher can work with you. I'm not opposed to that. However, it's flexible. And so we just ask that you make appointments outside of that time as much as possible. And another reason that we're doing the incentive weekly is because there might be a week where you just can't earn the incentive, and that's okay. You can earn it the next week. And so just to remember that you start over every week. If you don't get it the first week, you might get it the second, third, and fourth week. So just know that the opportunity exists every week.
And then last question, possibly if we've got time, do students need to attend and pass summer school to move on to the next grade level?
So retention decisions are up to the particular school buildings. However, we did choose students. First of all students could attend summer school. It wasn't just students that were behind or needed extra support because we wanted to offer it to everyone, and so we did. And we wanted to make sure that we could teach all students at their level, regardless of where they are on the spectrum. And then we also identified students that were behind. And so you may have gotten a phone call from a principal or your child's previous teacher saying that it's required for your student to attend and be included in the decision-making retention. And that is up to school building.
Hello.
They follow their retention process with
Hello,
that.
my friend.
So I can't promise retention or not in relation to summer school, but it's certainly going to support to help move your child forward in their learning.
I don't understand how, if you were told that your child passed on to the next grade, but they did need to attend summer school, how would that be left up to the school itself if you were told something different?
So I'm not sure what you were told specifically by your school. You would have to ask your child's teacher and or principal from that school. But what I will say is summer school completion is considered in decision-making of retention or not. And so they may have said at this point, you know, I don't know how the different schools may have communicated that. So you'll have to go back to your principal and teacher to ask that question, because it may differ a little bit from building to building.
He may honor roll.
So again, those kinds of specific questions will have to be asked at the school level. I won't be able to answer all of those, unfortunately. And I do have to wrap this meeting up. We did have excellent participation, so I appreciate that from everyone. Look forward to seeing all of the children this summer and learning. And thanks so much for attending, and please let us know what we can do to continue to support.
Bye.
Bye. Have a great